Assalamu alaikum. I want us to take a trip back to 2005. The community, after the earthquake, had meetings. The community, after the earthquake, that affected millions of people, got together. They met with the Minister of External Affairs, they met with the Minister of SIDA, they met with the then Prime Minister Paul Martin. The response was effective. By the end of the day, when we finished, the Liberal government of Canada had donated $75 million to the earthquake in Kashmir. This day, the Conservative government has donated $5 million in a press release acknowledging the disaster. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a total failure. We need to do more. And how do we do more? First of all, there's people that are being sponsored, be it family class, husbands and wives, or be it parents and grandparents. Those people should be put in the front of the queue in Islamabad, given visitor visas, and or their immigration to be finalized in order for them to come to Canada. There's people that are displaced and they got family relatives in Canada. Those people should be given visitor visas to come to Canada. You're raising funds here tonight. I have yet to hear the government of Canada saying that they will match dollar for dollar in what you raised. Last year, the Chinese community pushed, and the Burmese community pushed very hard. I know I was there doing some of the pushing. The government of Canada, for that devastation earthquake in China, came up with $50 million. The money that's raised here tonight, the money that will be raised tomorrow, the money that will be raised next week and the weeks following, why is our government not matching it? What's our government waiting for? Why is Mr. Harper not meeting with the community? Why is the Minister of External Affairs and the Minister of SIDA not sitting around a round table and listening how Canada can help? Should the DART team be requested and it's not in harm's way? Well, they were in Muzaffarabad in 2005. They haven't been utilized since 2005. They're not even in Sri Lanka. Why can they not be there to help? Those are the questions that we have to raise. And I say to you wholeheartedly that myself and my colleague Andrew Kanya, which is going to speak in a couple of minutes on his own, are raising those questions. The Liberal caucus is speaking very loudly on those issues. But what's happening in Sri Lanka is pretty well preoccupied, if you want to call the agenda, of world disasters. And what did they do in Sri Lanka? The Minister of Immigration said, we're going to expedite cases that are already in the queue. And when he was challenged, he says, we're working on it. No instructions were given. What are they waiting for? 3.3 million people displaced internally. Thousands of babies will be born next month. How many of them will die? Women while giving labor, how many of them will die? Yes, there's a problem in the region. And I guess the problem stems from not having a high literacy rate. The problem stems from the West in the 1980s, and some of you have seen the movie Charlie Wilson's War. When it was over, we just left, or the Americans just left. Well, there's a new person in the White House, and we all seen the speech that he gave. But however, I'm not going to talk about the United States. We in Canada have to have that responsibility. If you raise here tonight $5,000, the government of Canada must match it, unequivocally, unquestionably, with no hesitation. And if tomorrow you raise another $5,000, they should match it again. If there's people that are in the queue, husbands, wives, why are we not taking them out of the queue and bringing them to Canada? We did it after tsunami. We did it in Muzaffarabad. The protocol was done last year during the Chinese earthquake. Why not Pakistan? Well, I'm sorry. Maybe you didn't vote for the Conservatives. This is not an issue of Conservatives and Liberals. This is an issue of humanity. And if we don't live partisan politics aside, and we don't work together, well, we might as well become Taliban ourselves. This is an international disaster. Canada has not stood up to the plate, and I ask you and I urge you. And for those of you that have a pen and a paper, you might want to take this number down. 613-992-4211. Does anybody want to guess whose number that is? 613-992-4211. Can I try it for you? Let's try this number. 613-992-4211.
Prime Minister's office, it was crazy.
Prime Minister's office. Call him up. Ask for the person that's responsible for the file. Give him a blaster. Call him up and say, what are you doing for our people in Pakistan? What are you doing for my relatives? I'm a Canadian. I want to know what my government is doing. And if you not get an answer, call back again. And if you don't get an answer, get a piece of paper and pen. Well, these days it's done by computers. You know, I see people there with, what do you call them, Blackberries. Beautiful things. PM, that's the email address, at pm.gc.ca. Prime Minister at primeminister.gcgovernmentofcanada.ca. Give them help. Thanks for having me, and my prayers and thoughts are with your people. My best wishes, because I've been through that area, and I know what the people are facing.